New tonight on The Story, continuing the continuous coverage of the snow. We're live, we're local, we're breaking, we're late breaking. No, we're not quite sure. What's it mean to be late breaking? We don't know. We'll just say it. We're late breaking, but the snow is developing as we follow new developments about the snow. First, though, we're tracking the very latest with our snow team coverage. Here's the Snowy, the story starts now. Hello, I'm Dan Haggerty. Welcome to the Snowy. Now look, all the ways to communicate with us at the bottom of the screen. Let us hear it. Email us. Send us messages on Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. Use the hashtag HeyDan. If you watch the show regularly, which I hope you do, we don't typically do weather coverage here on the story. But our bosses said, look, guys, you got to talk about the snow. And I agree. It is what everybody is talking about right now. So let's go to our new segment. Is it snowing? I think. Is it? Yeah. It's hard to tell in this picture. I'm being told yes. There's some flurries. All right, so we're keeping an eye on all this. We are going to begin tonight talking about the latest conditions, and we're going to discuss what may happen next and when. But first, let's go to our snow team coverage. So we have Mike Benner in downtown Portland Forest, Catherine Cook in the Gorge, Kyle Aboshi in the West Hills, Damian Lillard at the we got Dame? Wow, that's huge. Damian Lillard for us tonight, Devin Haskins in Troutdale, the Unipiper on his unicycle in the snow, Tim Gordon in Clark County, One-Eyed Willie keeping an eye on the coast for us. Literally, he's got one eye. Matt Zaffino in the Weather Center, Rojo, the recently stuffed llama, a block of Tillamook cheese, the Goths from Portlandia, Nora the polar bear, bringing the snow back with her, huh? Yeah. Timber Joey, the Oregon duck, Phil Knight, which wasn't cheap, the exploding whale's ghost, the doctor at the Oregon Health Authority who dressed up as a clown to read daily COVID deaths, and the I Like Turtles kid.
I like turtles.
I do too, buddy. I do too. As you can see, we have you covered tonight. But despite that crew, that robust crew of experts, we should start with our number one. Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino in the Weather Center. Matt, sir, what's happening right now and what can we expect?
I think that I Like Turtles kid has got to be in his 20s by now. But I really wish you'd gone to the Unipiper before me. I wanted to hear what he had to say and see him riding around on one wheel and the little bit of snow that we've gotten so far, and it has been very, very light. So that's what's happening right now. It is still light snow. The temperature continues to drop, and while it's 32 at the airport, we're in the 20s now downtown, as is Beaverton, King City. 27 out in Boring, so it continues to get colder. It'll be windy overnight tonight. It's well down in the 20s, even teens out in the Hood River Valley, and that's where our air is coming from. The question is, where is the snow, right? So we've got this band of heavier snowfall. It's just beginning to edge up into the southern end of the Portland area right now, right there into here, through Canby and then here. So I expect the snowfall to increase in its intensity within the next hour or so. And with that band of snow, I expect us to pick up about an inch or two from it. But I've downgraded the amounts that I think we will get from this first storm tonight and into tomorrow morning because it just hasn't really materialized. And the reason for that is the center of the storm is headed a little bit farther south. But we are getting some heavier precipitation just to our south. So I expect the snowfall rates to pick up in the next hour or so. So we'll go for snow, then light snow, and then actually tapers off later tonight. Tomorrow morning, it should be doing nothing, just cloudy, cold, and windy. We're still dealing with freezing rain, though, in parts of the valley, and the Unipiper hates that. He doesn't want to be sliding around on one wheel on ice, right? And who does? 1/10 of an inch to maybe 2/10 of an inch of ice south and west of downtown towards McMinnville. Can be. And then you get farther south towards Corvallis, it's above freezing, and there's no ice at all down there. So there's this big spread of precipitation types around town. But again, for Portland, north and east of downtown, we'll go for 1 to 2 inches overnight tonight before it begins to calm down into the morning hours tomorrow. The gorge won't calm down. Those winds have already gusted over 70 miles an hour. We'll get several inches of snow there, visibility down to 1/4 of a mile. So that's where it'll be the worst as usual. But we're not done because we get another chance of snow, and this should be heavier snow coming in tomorrow night into Saturday morning with this cold air already in place. Before tonight, it's mainly light snow. Look for it to pick up a little bit in the next couple hours, Dan.
Sounds good. Matt, thank you for the latest. Now, for those of you out there who are new to the area, we know there are a lot of you, we have this segment called The 112, named after the 112 people who move to Oregon every day. And while that number is an average, you, of course, are not. And just for you, we've got this handy beginner's guide to Portland snow. And Matt answers all the questions you might have, like which areas get hit the hardest? Will rain boots work in the snow? Do I need snow tires or chains? What exactly is freezing rain? And why does this city shut down in the snow? Lots of good questions, lots of really good answers. You can check that out right now on kgw.com. But if you've lived here for a while, you're thinking, dude, Dan, I don't need any of that. I know how to deal with the snow here in Portland. Well, let's test your knowledge, okay, with the Portland Snow Quiz Show. First question, what do you do if you're driving and it starts to snow really hard? A, abandon your car. B, drive slowly and don't brake suddenly. Or C, drive like a maniac and slip all over the ice. Hopefully this one was easy for you. It is B. Drive slowly, don't brake suddenly. All right, and I must stress this. Do not abandon your car, people. Do not do that, okay? Just to fill in the people who are in the 112, that actually happened a few years ago. A bunch of people abandoned their cars, stuck in the snow. It was not a good thing. ODOT will not be happy with you if you do that. All right, on to the next question. What do you do when it's time to stock up on food? A, responsibly go buy food for the next few days. B, buy all the kale that you can find. Or C, wait until the last minute, then discover there's nothing but ranch left at the grocery store. The answer here is A, responsibly buy food for the next few days. All right, you do not need that much kale, Portland, I promise you. Or toilet paper for that matter. Or wine, Brian. Now, you might have seen this post on my Facebook page. I asked what you thought was the most cliche, cringe, ridiculous, funny thing that the local news does when they're covering crazy weather. And you delivered like 200 comments on my Facebook page. A KGW page shared it, has like 500 comments. And I want to read some of my favorites right now. Denise says this: having their reporter stand at the top of Sylvan Hill overpass and kick a small patch of snowflakes, or sending them to Troutdale to freeze to death. How do they pick who goes out there? Yeah, it's a tough gig. When your shift's over, you feel like Jack Nicholson at the end of The Shining. Sometimes it is the young reporters that get sent out to do that and get sent out of those tough spots. But sometimes it's the reporters who are really good at that sort of thing, really entertaining in those live shots and do the stories really well, because that is not easy work. And some people are frankly better than others at it. All right. Cindy says this: taking out a ruler and measuring the snow that's 1/8 of an inch deep. Well, to counter that, Cindy, how exactly did you know the snow was 1/8 of an inch deep? Think about that, all right? Donna commented and said, continuous coverage of an average event. Yes, we know, it's snowing, but the nonstop coverage is just plain silly. Oh, Donna, you like it, admit it. But with that in mind, why don't we get to our big non-snow story? Which is the other thing that everybody's talking about, the vaccine. But for once, we're not talking about the people who want the vaccine and can't get it. No, we're talking about people who are being offered the shot and saying no. Here's Kristen Severance.
While most of our stories focus on the wait or frustration to get the COVID vaccine, there is a large group not getting it when offered. Recent data from the CDC shows 62% of nursing home workers across the country have not gotten the first COVID shot when offered.
The first people to get it are the caregivers like me and the nursing home attendants and caregivers there, as well as the nursing home patients. Not a great idea for the people that are bathed in COVID like we are to refuse to get it because they themselves can be spreaders.
Dr. Mauricio Heilbronn, or Dr. Mo, is Vice Chief of Staff at St. Mary Medical Center in Long Beach, California. I talked to him after a 30-hour shift.
I'm really tired. And yeah, every day I check on my patient list and I see these names that are grayed out because they're dead. They died overnight. This has been like a nightmare science fiction horror movie for the last 2 months, 3 months. And anything we can do to keep people out, we'll do that. And the vaccine will do that.
The CDC looked at more than 11,000 senior living facilities that held one vaccination clinic between December to January. While 78% of residents got the shot, only 37.5% of staff did.
Why do you think the number is so large? I think there's a lot of different reasons.
Melissa Unger is the executive director of the union, representing 73,000 nursing and home healthcare workers in Oregon. She believes workers will eventually get the shot. She said a large number didn't get the shot for several reasons, including this is a young workforce, many of whom don't trust the government. These are low-paying jobs, and some have a difficult relationship with their employer. And a large percentage of nursing home workers are people of color, people who are historically vaccine hesitant.
There's just so much distrust about where did this vaccine come from? They're some of the first people to get it. Lots of these people have had COVID because there's been massive outbreaks. So do they need it? So there's just a lot of factors that I think are really coming into play.
It's not just nursing home workers. Out of the major hospitals in the Portland metro area, 30% of Providence Health employees of the 27,000 eligible said they'd wait, declined, or didn't reply to the offer. Salem Health had 32% of more than 4,500 eligible employees decline at this time. OHSU doesn't have a number. Kaiser and Legacy Health don't keep track of who declined the vaccine. So why are people who work in healthcare not getting the shot? Some have cited side effect concerns. Others say they want to give the shot to someone more vulnerable. And some are still weary of the vaccine because of false rumors or misinformation.
It's part of this whole problem we've had for the last several years, honestly, is that people believe what they want to believe. They search for the information. It's the confirmation bias.
Dr. Mo urges people in healthcare and everyone else to get it for themselves, for their families, and to achieve the long-awaited herd immunity across the country.
So the fact that we're close, that we have something that works, and we're rejecting it makes no earthly sense on the planet. I hear their fears. I hear their bias. I hear their suspicions. But they're just not validated. They're personal, but they're not real. And they're dangerous. They're just frankly dangerous.
Okay, Kristen Severance joining us now. Kristen, any indication these healthcare workers will get the shot soon?
Yes. So the union rep told me that these nursing homes have 3 vaccination clinics. While many of the nursing home workers said no at that first one, they have seen more people get the shot the second time it's offered.
Got it. Kristen, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, a lot of people have been wondering if the mass vaccination sites will still be open considering the snow. And we have just heard, we want to tell you that the convention center is closing tomorrow. Everyone who had an appointment there, they're going to contact you and reschedule it. But I know that's an inconvenience, but, be by the phone or get ready to kind of answer an email, anything like that. OHSU is also planning to close its airport site Saturday and Sunday because of the weather. We know you have a lot of questions. We know this is an uncertain kind of situation. You were expecting to get the vaccine and now you don't know what's up, but we have Pat Doris here to answer some of those for you.
Hey Dan, I've been following the vaccine story all week long, and here's a couple of emails we got that really stood out. The first is from Laura, who wants to know what happens if vaccinations are canceled for 80-year-old patients. Will they be able to reschedule a day later, a week later at the same time? The answer is, I sure hope so. They will definitely be able to reschedule. The question is, will it be a week out or a day out, or will it be at the same time? That I do not know. But I know that they're being as accommodating as they can be, and so I think that they can feel pretty confident that they are going to get something. The question is exactly when, and I'm sorry I don't have an answer to that. Pam wants to know, my husband and I will qualify for the vaccine next week, and we're trying to find out if there's a way to schedule simultaneous appointments. Oh, this is a great question, Pam. The short answer, not really, unless you're tricky. And here's why. Each person has to go in and create a medical health record, and only one person can go in and do that at a time. Part of the reason that they do that, according to the folks that I talked with at Legacy, is because they don't want somebody going in and reserving 10 appointments for all their friends. That wouldn't not be too great. So how do you go in and get something close for you and your husband? Well, one thing I've heard of is 2 different people going in on 2 different computer interfaces. So you've got, your brother-in-law on the other side of the city, and you're trying to do it, and you're both booking one for you, and your brother-in-law is booking for your husband. Now, Don't tell anybody I told you that, but that might work. The other thing to do, what my father-in-law did, is you just go in, make your appointment, go back out, and then come right back in and do it for your spouse. That's probably the most straightforward way to do it. Okay, I hope that helps.
Pat glancing over his shoulder. Who's spying on Pat's reports? All right. We want to do a quick daily vaccine check as we've been doing. Now, as of this afternoon, more than 455,000 Oregonians have gotten at least their first dose. Some of those people have gotten 2 doses, got them both done. But the first dose, it works out to be about 10.7% of the state's population, so more than 1 in 10 people, which is pretty good with their first shot right now. In Washington, more than 768,000 people have gotten at least their first dose, which is a little bit more actually than 10% of the state's population, 10.2%. All right, let's go back to our segment. Is it still snowing? What we got? The living room there? It's flurrying. Not much has changed, all right? But we're going to keep our eye on things for you. Stay safe out there, everybody. Remember, don't ditch your car, all right? We're going to keep checking on the weather for you during this half hour. We're going to have more at 6:30. In the meantime, the KGW weather app has the latest conditions, and Matt Zaffino is going to be updating us all night long. Now, a lot of you have been sending in some of your best Portland snow memories with the hashtag HeyDan. I'm going to read some of those when the story continues. We've also got a Tootie Smith update, which I know a lot of you have been waiting for as well.
Oh yeah, back in the winter of '69. It was the winter of '69.
Hey, welcome back. The winter of '69. That is a deep Bryan Adams cut, unreleased, I think. He sounds a bit off, actually. But it goes well with the video that we've pulled up from the KGW vault of that big snowstorm that hit Oregon in 1969. They called it the Big Snow, which I don't think they put a lot of time into the name. It wasn't that creative, but that's what they called it. Last night, I asked if any of you remembered it. We got tons of responses. A lot of you have some pretty interesting memories, and we wanted to share a couple, like this one from Melody, who wrote it and said, "We were married 12/21/68, so we're just newlyweds. It started snowing on our way home from our honeymoon at the beach. We lived in a small apartment across from Clark College. We were both students. We got totally snowed in. We didn't have a phone, so we hiked across the CC campus to use a payphone to let our families know we were safe. Trekking across campus involved skating on top of about a foot of snow with a top layer of ice. What a memory." And Sue said, "I was in 6th grade when the big snow happened. We had just moved to Oregon from a warm climate. I had never seen snow before and was so excited thinking that Oregon always had winters like that. We had snow drifts that went to the roof of our house at our home in Gresham. The snow happened during Christmas break and lasted long enough to extend the break. Our power was out for several days and we had ice on our windows." And Kathy emailed me and said, "I lived out in Boring on a hill. On top of all of the snow, we had ice, a silver thaw situation, super slippery. We didn't have a sled or tube, so we used TV trays to slide all the way down the hill. Sure was tough to get back up to the top." And then there's Gary's comment, just a reminder of the era of when all of this happened. He said, "I missed that snow in 1969 as I was with the U.S. Army 9th Infantry Division in Vietnam. The old videos looked pretty snowy." We're going to keep showing those videos from the KGW vault throughout the show. All right, let's take a little snow break if you'd like to here. And I want to talk about one of our favorite subjects on the show, Clackamas County Board Chair Tootie Smith. Wait, what was that? All right, we do need to check in on the snow again. Let's go back to our new segment. Is it still snowing? Yeah, I guess a little bit. Flurries, still kind of the same deal. You see people out on the road. I got somebody tweeted me and said that the rain is sticking to the ground in Beaverton, but you know it is cold out there, so it's kind of this stuff falls. It's going to make things slick. Just be careful, But this is a look at the Moda Center tonight. Be sure to check the KGW weather app for the latest conditions where you live. We'll tell you kind of what's to come as well. Matt Zaffino is going to have updates for you all evening long. All right, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Tootie Smith, one of our favorite subjects. I know she's one of your favorites too because you email us all the time asking for updates on her. Now, if you need a little refresher, she got some attention, national attention last fall when she announced that she was inviting all of her family and friends to Thanksgiving against the governor's social distancing orders. And then she went on Fox News and said Oregonians are being treated as, quote, second-rate slaves. Yee. Well, her constituents haven't really been that happy with her over that since and keep bringing it up at public comment periods at the Board of Commissioners meetings, which brings us to something that we think tonight is worth your time. The Oregonian has a story about how Smith wants to limit the public comment portion of the meetings. And it's not just because of the comments directed at her. You probably remember a lot of people want Commissioner Mark Shull to resign over racist and Islamophobic Facebook posts that he made. So far, Smith has moved the public comment period to the end of the board meetings, and she suggested giving everyone 2 minutes to speak instead of 3. There are some other commissioners who aren't happy about this at all. A board meeting is happening as we speak right now, so we'll let you know if there are any fireworks. All right, lots of comments tonight. I'm going to read a few when we finish the story next. All right, let's get to our segment, Is It Snowing? Well, look, we've got a little like condensation or something on the lens, so that's confirmation enough. Look, we're getting some flurries out there right now. Of course, we're expecting things to change over the next couple of days, and we've seen vaccination sites shutting down, others making plans to shut down. So stay with us for the latest. The weather's going to be a big deal, and Matt Zaffino is going to kind of cue us in with a much longer forecast coming up at 6:30 with everything you need to know. Let's get to a couple comments here. M. Wiz said, Dan, would you please go out and do a live shot in the snow event, or are you afraid your hair is going to get messed up? First of all, this pops off like a Lego head. And second of all, I was a morning reporter in Cleveland, Ohio for 4 years. I spent lifetimes in the snow. So it's cozy in here in the studio. I'm real cozy. Gabe Walsh said, FYI, the rain is sticking in Beaverton, so stay safe out there. That's something. Laurel's laughing. The rain is sticking in Beaverton. I don't know if you're joking or if you're saying there's ice on the roads. Be careful out there. Either way. We got one from Bill. Dan, some of the abandoned vehicles ran out of gas because the drive home was so long. Look, when I say don't abandon your vehicle, I don't mean freeze to death instead. So if your car runs out, if we get to that point, but let's not go there yet, all right? In the meantime, ODOT doesn't want you to abandon your vehicle. I love this one from Rob Stoltz. I was asking, how'd they come up with the term big snow in 1969? He said the Columbus Day storm, October 12th, 1962, came to be known as the Big Blow. And there was even a book published by that name. 6 or so years later, it seemed to make sense to call an extremely heavy snowstorm the Big Snow. Boom, Rob. Coming through tonight. That's interesting, very interesting. And then that's it. Lastly, Barry said, please thank Gary for his Vietnam service. Gary was one of the people that wrote in and said during the storm of '69, he was deployed in Vietnam. So Gary, thank you for your service. That's it for the story tonight. We appreciate it. We're going to keep you up to date on all things snowy and whatnot. Keep using that hashtag, Hey Dan. We'll see you back here tomorrow.